This is number seven podcast.
Number 7 podcast.
Ever get that feeling like you're meant for something bigger, like there's a path you should be on, but you just can't quite figure out what it is?
Oh, yeah, that yearning for a deeper purpose. It's a pretty common human experience.
Totally. And you know what? It's right at the heart of this book we're diving into, The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho.
Ah, The Alchemist, classic.
It follows this shepherd, Santiago, who goes on this whole journey to find his personal legend, which is what Coelho calls our unique purpose, like the reason we're all here.
And get this, Coelho starts the book with a super interesting take on the myth of Narcissus.
Really?
Yeah, the lake is all sad, not just because Narcissus died, but because it saw its own beauty reflected in his eyes. It's a subtle hint about how everything's connected, a theme that just keeps popping up throughout the whole book.
I like that. So then we meet Santiago, our shepherd from Andalusia, who has this crazy, vivid dream about finding treasure at the Egyptian pyramids.
Vivid enough to keep waking him up. It feels like more than a dream, you know? Like a call to action, pushing him towards his personal legend.
So he does what anyone would do, right? Tries to find someone who can explain this dream. He stumbles upon this mysterious old man who says he's the king of Salem.
And this king of Salem, he's all about emphasizing that we all have a personal legend. But so often we let fear or what society expects of us hold us back. He really pushes Santiago to break free and go after his dream.
And Santiago takes the plunge, sells his whole flock of sheep, and sets sail for Africa.
Yeah.
Now that's commitment.
Huge commitment. But life has other plans. He gets robbed the second he steps foot in Tangier, left with nothing but the clothes on his back and that burning memory of his personal legend.
Wow. You'd think that'd be the end of it, right?
Yeah.
But Santiago's tough, resilient. He just refuses to give up.
You got it. He ends up finding work with a crystal merchant and starts learning all about business, new cultures, and even this thing called the language of the world, which is all about the signs and omens that guide us.
It's like that detour becomes this unexpected learning experience. But after a year, he's totally torn. Should he head back home with the money he saved or keep chasing his personal legend?
The classic dilemma, right? Comfort versus that yearning for something more. Playing it safe versus following your soul's path. In the end, he follows his heart.
I love that. So he joins this caravan crossing the Sahara Desert, which sounds like quite an adventure. He even meets an Englishman who's totally obsessed with alchemy, the mystical art of transformation.
And their conversations, deep dives into the soul of the world, that universal energy connecting everything. It's fascinating to see these two seekers, each with their own approach. The Englishman, all about knowledge and books, and Santiago, learning through real-world experiences and challenges.
Then they hit an oasis, and Santiago falls head over heels for Fatima, this incredible desert woman. And now he's got another dilemma on his hands, love versus his personal legend.
Classic conflict. But Fatima's wise, in tune with the desert. She understands that real love doesn't trap you. She actually encourages him to keep going on his journey.
The kind of support everyone needs. But things get complicated when tribal wars break out, forcing them to stay put at the oasis.
And that's where Santiago's ability to understand the language of the world becomes super important. He senses danger, like an attack on the oasis, and warns everyone. He might have even saved lives.
His intuition's getting sharp. Then, to make things even more interesting, this mysterious horseman shows up.
Who is it? Turns out to be the alchemist Santiago's been searching for. But before he can learn anything from this master, he's got to pass a test of courage. The alchemist pulls a sword on him, forcing Santiago to face his deepest fears.
Whoa, that's intense.
It is. But he passes, earning the alchemist's guidance, and off they go into the vast desert together.
That desert, it's like a giant metaphor.
Totally. It's all about confronting your inner demons, battling those doubts, and coming out the other side stronger. No distractions, just Santiago facing the core of who he is.
And the alchemist, a constant source of wisdom, teaching him to trust his heart, understand that everything's connected, and believe in the power of his own journey.
And then, boom, another twist. They get captured by tribesmen, and things look pretty grim. So they're captured. Things are looking pretty bad. But that's when the alchemist really steps up and uses his alchemy, like his actual skills, to save their lives.
Seriously.
It really shows you that alchemy isn't just some trick to turn lead into gold, you know?
Right.
It's about this power to transform your situation, to tap into that universal energy, the soul of the world, and do things that seem totally impossible.
That's pretty amazing.
Mm.
But then things get even weirder, right? Santiago's told he has to learn to become the wind if he wants to keep going.
Yeah.
Like actually talk to the desert and the wind and the sun.
Exactly. It's this push to see what's possible, to think about how connected everything really is on this deeper level. Santiago has to tap into that language of the world and actually communicate with the forces that shape our world.
And he does it. He actually convinces the desert and the wind and the sun to help him. But when they finally get to the pyramids, he's just hit with this wave of disappointment.
No giant pile of gold waiting for him, right?
Yeah.
It's this twist that really highlights the point that the real treasure is the downing, not the destination. It's all about the growth, the wisdom, and the connections you make along the way. That's the real prize.
So it's more about changing on the inside rather than finding some external reward.
Exactly. But wait, there's another twist. Santiago goes back to Spain, to that same ruined church where he had the dream.
Okay.
And guess what? He finds a chest full of gold buried right there.
What? No way.
I know, right? It's this reminder that the most valuable things are sometimes right in front of us, but we have to go through this whole journey of growth to actually see them. And to top it off, the book ends with this short story about a father's dream.
Oh, interesting.
Again, emphasizing the whole personal legend thing, even when it seems kind of strange to other people.
Makes you think that the universe is always pushing us toward our purpose, if we're just paying attention. One thing that really stuck with me was all this talk about omens.
Right, like the universe is always sending us messages and little nudges, but we're so busy or scared that we miss them.
Yeah. Remember when Santiago was struggling with whether to stay with Fatima or keep going?
Yeah.
And he looks at those date palms and suddenly they mean something different to him, like they're showing him he's moved to a different part of his life.
Oh, yeah. That was a great scene.
I felt that.
It shows how the way we see those omens can change depending on how much we've grown and what's happening in our lives. It's not really about predicting the future. It's more about learning to trust your gut.
Right, that intuition.
Exactly. And speaking of intuition, what about that part where Santiago has this vision of the army attacking the oasis? He just knows it's going to happen, even though everyone thinks he's crazy. It shows how important it is to trust that inner voice, even if it doesn't make sense or everyone disagrees.
Yeah. It takes guts to do that, especially when people doubt you.
Yeah.
But if you're going after your personal legend, you kind of need that courage. Spending time with the Alchemist was like a crash course in life lesson.
Oh, absolutely. The Alchemist was all about learning by doing, not just reading about things or thinking about them.
Right.
You're going to make mistakes, but it's not a big deal. It's all part of the process. They're lessons, they're chances to get back on track and really get closer to your personal legend.
It's like they say, failure's just feedback.
Exactly. Coelho is all about embracing the messy parts of growth, seeing those setbacks as opportunities. Remember when Santiago gets robbed in Africa right at the beginning? It could have been this crushing blow, but he just picks himself up and figures out a new way forward.
Such a great example of resilience, right? He doesn't let that one bad thing define him or stop his journey. He adapts, learns, and keeps going. That's something everyone needs when chasing a dream. And that whole concept of everything in the universe having a soul, like even the desert and the wind and the sun.
It's wild, right?
It's like this beautiful web of energy where everything's talking to each other on some level.
And that's one of the big ideas in alchemy, you know? That belief that everything's connected with this universal energy running through it all. If we can understand this language of the universe, we can do amazing things.
Just like Santiago learning to become the wind.
Right.
It sounds impossible, but he connects with the desert and the wind and the sun, and he actually pulls off this huge transformation.
It's a powerful way to think about pushing past our limits and realizing we're capable of way more than we think.
It's like we're not just individuals, we're all part of this huge connected symphony of existence. And if we tap into that connection, who knows what we can achieve.
The Alchemist isn't just about some treasure hunt. It's about finding yourself, discovering your place in the grand scheme of things, and that we can actually shape our own destinies. I also love how the book ends with Santiago going back to Fatima. Like he's come full circle, you know? Back to his love with a deeper understanding of himself and the world.
And it shows that love and personal growth can totally go together. They can even make each other stronger. It's interesting how the book doesn't shy away from the hard parts of chasing your personal legend.
Oh, for sure. It's honest about the ups and downs of personal growth.
Mm-hmm.
There are going to be those dark moments, those times when you question everything and just want to give up.
Definitely.
But those are the moments that really show you your strength and how resilient you are.
They're part of the journey, right? shaping us and getting us ready to live out our personal legend.
Exactly. They're not roadblocks. They're chances to grow.
The Alchemist isn't just about one shepherd's adventure. It's about the human journey, you know?
It is.
It's this invitation to listen to our hearts, to trust the universe, and to be brave enough to chase our dreams no matter how big they are.
That's a perfect way to put it.
Yeah, it really makes you think about what's possible. Like the Alchemist is saying, hey, a life where you're truly fulfilled, where you're living out your personal legend, it's totally within reach.
It is, but you gotta be willing to get uncomfortable, to embrace the unknown, and trust that the journey itself is the real prize.
One thing that really stuck with me was how the Alchemist saw failure. Like he tells Santiago, there's only one way to learn, and it's through action.
He's all about learning by doing, right? Not just thinking about stuff, but actually getting out there and experiencing things for yourself.
Exactly, and he makes this point that you're going to make mistakes, it's going to happen, but it's not something to be afraid of. They're lessons. They're chances to figure out what works and get closer to your personal legend.
It's like that idea that failure is just feedback. You messed up. Okay, now you have more information to help you adapt and get it right.
It's such a good message, especially these days when everyone's so scared of failing. Coelho is saying, hey, embrace the messy parts of growing. See those setbacks as stepping stones, not like the end of the world.
Totally. Remember when Santiago gets robbed in Africa, right when he gets there? Could have totally crushed him, but he finds a way to keep going.
That's resilience right there. He doesn't let that one bad thing define him or stop him from going after what he wants. He adjusts, learns, and keeps moving forward. And that's what everyone needs when they're chasing a dream.
Yeah.
And what about that idea that everything in the universe has a soul? Even the desert and the wind and the sun.
I know, right? Such a cool concept.
It's like this crazy, beautiful web of energy where everything is connected and communicating somehow.
It gets to the core of what alchemy is all about, you know? That belief that everything is linked with this universal energy flowing through it all. And if we can tap into that, who knows what we can do?
Like Santiago learning to become the wind.
Exactly.
Sounds impossible, but he connects with the desert and the wind and the sun, and boom, he does this incredible thing, this total transformation.
It's a powerful way to think about pushing past our limits and realizing we're capable of so much more than we think.
Like we're not just these separate individuals, but we're all part of something so much bigger, a symphony of existence. And when we tune into that connection, amazing things can happen. Reading The Alchemist is like going on your own personal journey of self-discovery.
Yeah.
It makes you think, it inspires you, and it leaves you with this sense of wonder and possibility.
It definitely stays with you. You finish reading, but it plants these seeds of possibility and encourages you to listen to your own personal legend.
Well, I think we've pretty much covered the magic of The Alchemist.
It's been great exploring this timeless story with you.
And to everyone listening, thanks for joining us on this journey. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the Number 7 podcast channel for more awesome discussions. Until next time, keep following your personal legend.